What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing a New York Giants season preview. So if you guys are new to the series, feel free to watch all the other episodes. Feel free to join the community. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube jazz. I would love to be able to talk to you guys. If you guys ever want to talk to me one-on-one, I have the Discord down there. We have over 100 and think of 50 people in it. Absolutely awesome. Never really thought my channel would blow up to this after the first 7 months of it being up to 100 subs. We're here now, and you guys are to thank for it. And I'm excited for the next season ahead. We're gonna get even better, even smarter, devote even more time to it because I love you guys, and this has just become what I want to be in my future as my future job. So thank you guys for making that a possibility. Without further ado, let's hop right into the video. Don't know why I had to say that on a New York Giants preview, but it's a crazy day, right? So let's look at the offense. Actually, I'm just kidding. Let's look right at the draft picks first. Starting off, like I just said, like my thank yous and everything. All of a sudden, I just mess up. But the New York Giants, you guys had a really, really, really insane start to the draft. KT, Evan Neal, both of them at one time were supposed to be the #1 overall pick. If I'm not mistaken, I think that I put KT and Evan Neal as picks in one of my drafts, one of the first ones I did. So pretty cool to see that materialize later on. KT, I think, was around like #5 on my big board. Evan Neal was #2. So big fan of both of them. Evan Neal's had a little bit of a struggle so far, but he's moving back to right tackle. You know, Penei Sewell has started out the year very poorly. He had a hard time, and that is okay. I think we have a very hard time in society nowadays having patience. We want everything right now. And Evan Neal, when you watch him play, you know he's not ready. He has a lot of technique, like promises, but he's still getting there. He's a hyper athlete. Like we haven't seen somebody who is this athletic at his size. He did a split squat jump that was like a 40-inch jump. It's like he has so much potential that you just need to relax. Remember that this team doesn't usually have a very promising offensive line. And you have two guys who could be bookend tackles for the next 10 to 15 years. So just relax, smile, have a good time. KT, former high school teammate. I did not wear the Oaks Christian shirt for that reason, but represent. He has a lot of promise as well. He was my, I believe, edge 3 behind Carl Loftus as well as Hutchinson. I love both of those guys a lot, but he was phenomenal. I realized his ceiling was higher than Carl Loftus's, so I put Carl Loftus above him. But KT's a phenomenal player. You guys took him, and I love the fact that you took two extremely high ceiling players that might not be able to play at the highest level right at the moment. Wan'Dale Robinson was a really big stretch. You started off really, really, really well, like A+ level well. But Wan'Dale, I saw it as like, I'm scared of losing Kadarius Toney, so we're going to get somebody who's the worst version of Kadarius Toney. And he performed pretty poorly in the first preseason game. Does that matter? No, none of this matters. Even Jamar Chase didn't perform that well from time to time. So, again, it only really matters when the wins actually remain in the win column. But it really, like, I would love to just use him at running back this year. Really, I would. I don't really think he has a legitimate spot. We'll look at the roster in a second, but I had him as a third to fourth, and you guys took him above guys like, if I'm not mistaken, George Pickens might have been taken right before this. I don't believe he was, though. I think he was like pick 51. So you had guys on the board who would have been much better in terms of the ceiling. And I think you guys took the scared route. And I'm not trying to get on you guys for that because I think your organization has done a phenomenal job reorganizing. But when you look at guys even like KaVontae Turpin, I think his first name's KaVontae, Turpin from the USFL, like that could have been the guy you patched that hole with, that fear with. And instead you patched it with Wan'Dale. So it's okay. Josh Zudu, I know that there was a lot of hype with him, and I hope that he performs very well for you guys. Cordell Flott, no idea why you picked him. I honestly don't. He plays pretty well. He's thin, but this is like the third or fourth slot corner that you have on the team. You continue drafting him, Darnay Holmes, Aaron Robinson. Like, you have guys, even Julian Love, You have guys on the team that are really, really good in the slot, yet you continue drafting more. And I don't understand that because I thought it was honestly a reach as well. Daniel Bellinger, I heard he's been performing really well, and I hope the best for him. I didn't really think it was a great pick at the time, but it fit a need very well. Dane Belton in there, he was a very solid safety. Micah McFadden, good pickup later on. I don't know enough about Marcus McKeithen, but I was a huge fan of the Darian Beavers pick. I had a 3rd round grade on him. Apparently, he's been performing really well. So very, very, very happy to hear that. Let's continue on to the next stage, which is the roster preview. So yes, we all know, if you guys are not new to the series, you guys have been aware of this. Sport Track organizes this by alphabetical order. So stupid. I agree. But let's start out here with the quarterback, Daniel Jones, Tyra Taylor, your number 1 and 2 option. Daniel Jones, I just don't have faith. I don't. I really want to have faith, and I just don't. But we'll see. I didn't really like the pick when it first happened. I don't think many people did. I'm glad that they took a shot. Nobody really worked out apart from the number 1 in that class. So you tried. You did. So that's a good sign. But, it's just, I feel like we're right now praying that he works, and we just know he won't. And I think that it's almost a cover up to be at a much higher spot next year. And I'm hoping that's the case. Tyra Taylor, I think, will be starting at some point this season. He's a very good player. So it has nothing to do with Daniel Jones necessarily being bad. I think it's more to be like Tyra Taylor just offers that stability and that comfortability that you can actually potentially win a game with him, and you can compete. You can compete in games with him. I think that it is possible that Jimmy Garoppolo gets sent here. That is a legitimate possibility. So if that happens, I think the odds of this team performing well boost up. I think Jimmy G is better than Tyrod Taylor. I think he's better than Daniel Jones. So I think that'd be an excellent choice. Running back wise, Saquon, after that injury, he just hasn't really been Saquon. And I hope he gets back to that point where he can really be himself again. I don't really like much of the supporting cast. Matt Breida and Jashawn Corbin are both the guys who I do like. Matt Breida would be a fun option. I don't know how they're going to deploy him necessarily, but, if you use him right, that's exactly what you need to do. Jashawn Corbin was a really good back, but I really want to see him in practice, in play, be able to perform at that high of a level. So very excited to see that materialize on the field. Wide receiver, Kenny Galde, people were saying is the worst wide receiver signing at his rate in history. I think that there's something inside his head that's the problem. I don't think that it's his talent. We've seen some amazing plays from Kenny Galladay in the past. He's garnered this for a reason. And I just don't think that it's his stuff. I don't think it's a skill. That's the issue. I think it's something mentally. I don't know what's going on, but I think the money might have gotten to his head. I hope it hasn't. But I hope he gets a real kick in the ass and is actually able to get his head and ass wired together. So we'll see what happens. Sterling Shepard, a really good wide receiver. Again, super solid. Kadarius, they've been playing his music apparently at practice. I had a very high 1st round grade on him. He was the first player that I ever really watched that got me into scouting. He was the first player. I saw him and I was like, I really want to write this guy down. I saw him as a returner and I was like, this guy looks really special. And a couple years later, he came out and he was a 1st round pick, and it made me really happy in retrospect to see that. Wandale, again, Darius Slayton's a really good player. Colin Johnson, another really good depth piece for Kenny Galladay. Like, you have guys here. Robert Foster's excellent. Alex Bachman, also represent Oaks Christian, baby. It's not like he's that good, but you have depth pieces here. Keelan Doss, Austin Prohl, another really good receiver. Did he get drafted? He did not. I think that you have a really good deep receiving core. You just lack that wide receiver one. And I hope Kenny Galladay gets his head and ass wired together, because that could flip a lot of these games. But tight end Daniel Bellinger, Ricky Seals-Jones, like, that's a big drop off, even than Evan Ingram when he underperformed. Kyle Rudolph was there as well. So that really hurts. It does. And that sucks. It really does. Excuse me as I fix the hair here. I got a text actually from my hairstylist saying, like, from the salon, saying that's like, it's not salon, but a text from the place saying like it might be time for you to come in for a new haircut. And I was like, no need to call me out like that. But jokes aside, yeah, I mean, tight end room, that's really barren. And for more conservative quarterbacks like Tyra Taylor and Daniel Jones, that does scare me. And you saw it in practice when they couldn't score a touchdown versus the Patriots' second team. And the Patriots don't even have that good of a team right now. That's a little bit worrisome. Tackles, Thomas, Neal, Peart as depth. You have a really good trio here, and I have a lot of faith in them. I really do. I don't know if you have, yeah, they don't have another tackle listed. I would say I want one extra tackle that can play, and I'm not I'm not knowledgeable about these players. So if you guys know that they're really good, feel free to let me know. I always like for you guys to interact with me because you guys watch one team year round. I watch 32. So you guys know a lot more in depth than I do. And I try to maintain all of them, but some things slip. You know, you got Glowinski here. Excellent signing. Excellent. Big fan of that one. Nick Gates as well. Solid player. Then obviously you drafted Josh here. Shane Lemieux has been, you know, good enough. But I'm trying to see like where I would be comfortable with a real guard too. And like Nick Gates is the option that I guess I could be pointing out. Like I think you have to possibly look at Shane Lemieux and Josh Zudu as guys who could be that true guard too. And that might be the weak point on your offensive line, but I think that could be patchable. Um, am I tripping or do you guys not have a center? Because if I'm not mistaken, Nick Gates was your center. That's why I was like, wait a second. Like, I know Nick Gates. He's the center. So I don't know why they don't have him listed as center. So yeah, guard two becomes an even bigger issue for me right at the moment. Looking at the guys available, I think Josh Zudu is going to need to be put in immediately, or Shane Lemieux. That's going to have to be one of those guys are going to have to hold up. I know Shane Lemieux's had some good starts, so fingers crossed for you guys. I think that is a legitimate position to keep an eye on. So yeah, just like on the offense, we're going to actually reverse it, snake order for the defense, and look at the defensive line out. And starting off with the defensive tackle room, you know, Dexter Lawrence, very solid player. You know, he's maybe not been a first round quality player, but, you know, it's very rare that interior defensive linemen end up being worth that first round pick. Christopher Hinton, very solid as well. Justin Ellis, you know, another pretty solid player. Like, I don't see any star power here, which is why you're lucky to have Dexter Lawrence here as your top dude. I believe you guys are running a nose tackle position right here because based on the fact that you really do lack a true interior defensive lineman too, losing BJ Hill during the season, that would be something that indicates that to me, especially when you have Leonard Williams there. He actually got into the top 100, so cheers to him. But you have some very, very, very solid interior defensive linemen at the top. I just worry a little bit about the depth. Leonard Williams, again, got a big contract, but he's a really good player. KT, it's KT. I'm excited that you guys got him. The ceiling is the limit for you guys, but this makes me feel a lot better with what I was thinking. Am I tripping? Where's Aziz? Like, did I just totally miss Aziz Ojulari? Regardless, we'll talk about these guys here. O'Shane Ximines, Ellerson Smith, both guys who I think were excellent pickups. I think you guys drafted both of them. You did. Awesome. Like, both of them were worth taking. Aziz Ojulari, there he is. He's listed as a linebacker. I think he fits better as a pass rusher, which majority of the time I believe that's what he's doing. So awesome there. Another threat to the equation right there. Oh wait, actually you run, if I'm not mistaken, you guys do run you brought the Baltimore DC over. So based on that, I'm actually a lot more comfortable looking at Aziz Ojulari as a linebacker because they blitz their linebackers quite a bit, and you do run a 3-4. So it makes me feel a lot better. It's interesting. So Micah McFadden, another guy, linebacker here. Your linebacker room is full of a bunch of dudes who should be good, but haven't been performing at the level that their name brand says, like Jalen Smith, Bernardrick McKinney, Blake Martinez, very solid. You have guys. That makes me a lot more confident. But I really want to look at your secondary. We're going to actually look at the safeties first. Xavier McKinney, Dane Belton, even Yusuf Corker. Like, Yusuf Corker had his moments, but Like Stephen Parker in here, not too shabby, but Xavier McKinney is going to be your saving grace. I'm praying that I see an FS, Julian Love. There we go. I like Julian Love quite a bit, very versatile. But the safety core you guys had, I think, was a lot deeper last year. You got Logan Ryan in the mix there as well. So I'm a little bit worried about that. A little bit worried because I don't really see the depth. One of these guys goes down, your secondary is already looking very weak over the top. I don't trust Dane Belton to start year one at a very high level. Corner-wise, you got Dory Jackson, and then you have your three pretty much slot corners here, as well as an experienced veteran in Rodarius Williams. It's a lot worse than it was last year. I hate to say it, but it's true. I like Aaron Robinson a lot. I like Darnay a lot. Actually, my first ever 7-on-7 scrimmage in high school was versus Darnay Holmes because he went to Calabasas High. Cordell Flott, don't really know exactly the plan for him. So I am a little bit worried, but the holes are not nearly as great as I thought they were. The problem, really, quarterback, running back, if you can get it going, wide receiver 1, guard 2, which isn't exactly that big of an issue in my opinion. But then maybe some defensive line depth, safety, like corner. I mean, I'm naming all the positions, but none of them are legitimate liabilities, which allows me to go into this with some confidence. Again, I'm not really confident that you can start out at a high level because I think a running game is a lot easier to start week 1 than just having instant synergy week 1 with all your receivers in the passing game. So not going to be switching this. We can switch games. So again, don't worry about that. It doesn't usually happen, but it has happened before. With the Panthers, I have a lot of faith in the Panthers. I do. But you are going to New York. So I like to give it to the home team a lot because, again, you are in your own environment. You didn't have to travel. It's a plus. And, it's just you're with your home crowd. And this is where this quarterback room is kind of like a mess. And we're seeing that maybe Baker Mayfield needs a little bit more time to develop with his dudes. So we're starting off with a 1-1 start. We're giving you guys a victory. Dallas has a really interesting roster. And I just put up the video right now, so you guys can go check that out. But I actually haven't covered up their record. Not as good as you probably think. It was 8-9. So they're not making the playoffs this year, according to my book. But again, I just don't trust Daniel Jones. And Dak is really good against the NFC East. So I'm going to rock with that. The Bears, the Bears have just been torn apart, but I'm definitely giving it to you guys. I have no faith in the Bears. Their running game is the only thing that could keep them going, and their offensive line got significantly worse. So I really have absolutely no faith in Chicago. Zero, like zilch. So not good. New York Giants are facing off against the Packers at home. Do I really need to explain this? I don't think I do. Packers are going to be a very good team this year. They don't have receiving weapons, but honestly, you don't really have the defensive backs to legitimately end any chance of that happening. Like, you look at the Cowboys. That was one where I started thinking, like, you do have the DBs to completely lock that down. They do have a really good run game, though. So that's where it starts. Like, I don't know. I don't think I need to explain the Ravens going up against your former DC. That would be kind of fun. But, I do think that the Ravens are a very powerful team this year. You're going to Jacksonville. Again, they have a really good team and a really good scheme as well. Doug Peterson's going to be getting in the groove by this point. I have a lot of faith in Jacksonville this year. I have no faith in Seattle. Absolutely none. I don't know if I'm going to give them more than maybe 1 or 2 wins this year. But they usually lose at home too. If I'm not mistaken, they have a worse home record than they do away. I don't know why, but I do have faith in this roster to beat them. Rested, they go and beat the Texans, who actually, I think it was the Texans I reversed a game and gave them a worse record than I originally did. The Lions, now this is a fun one because the Lions have a lot of weapons, but honestly, I trust that you can play your safeties deep enough. I'm praying they're healthy, and we are assuming healthiness for this. I think that the corners can lock down like Adoree versus DJ. I think that's a good matchup for you, and you have enough slot corners and good enough coverage linebackers to handle what would come of Amon-Ra St. Brown. So can you handle the run game? I think you can. So I've been actually kind of shitting on Detroit here, but I really do think that, you have enough to defeat their defense. And this is a good enough team. It's not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that quarterback is really suspect. And I do think that your quarterback is going to be good enough to beat them. Now you're going up against the Cowboys at home. We already talked about this. I gave you guys home wins versus both. I don't know if I could do that versus the Eagles, though, because their defense is just so good. Because Washington, I'm more than fine doing that. I really am. Carson Wentz is coming back. Whoop-de-doo. I didn't really think that their team was all that special. They have some strong points, but there's nothing really. I just don't feel like it materializes the way that it should. I mean, I might flip that game, but like this one, I'm a little bit. I think I did a coin toss, and I usually give it to the home team. With this one, man, because think about it. Let's look at the trenches, right? You have a good enough offensive line, but interior is going to be ravaged. Like, I legitimately think you're going to get absolutely annihilated on the interior. It's going to destroy your run game. In the pass game, I think their secondary is good enough. I don't think you have enough time to have your deep threats get open, because I think safety is probably the biggest weakness on that defense at this moment. So that does make me a little bit worried. Offensively, I think their receivers outmatch your corners. I think that their offensive line can handle your defensive front. I'm going to flip it. We're going to do it. So I'm sorry. I actually took a game away from you guys more than giving it to you, but I do think that's going to be it. Washington ended up winning that one with fully rested. Makes sense. And then Vikings, I think at this point, the Vikings are going to be making a playoff push. So I'm going to give it to them. You guys beat the Colts, which you guys probably shouldn't. But this one, these Vikings games, I might be flipping. Like, I think I've given them a pretty good record so far, but I think I'm going to be possibly flipping some. But again, I'm giving you a nice one against the Colts. And then again, the Eagles are just going to be balling. So, the Eagles are now 13-4 for the Eagles fans that are watching, but you guys are 7-10. That's a lot better than, if I'm not mistaken, you were last year. And it's just, this is a tough division. You're against the Cowboys, who are trying to prove something because they finally aren't favored in every single game. And they're not going to be favored to win this division either. So again, 7-10, it's a really good start. And with the right quarterback, again, if you had, let's just say you had a really good quarterback, right? Let's just say you even had Jimmy G. If you had Jimmy G, I'd possibly flip this game. Maybe. This game, I think I would flip definitely week 3, because I do think you have that home field advantage. Let's see, what other games could I flip? I would probably flip this one as well. Like, I would legitimately put you at 9-7 with him, or what? Yeah, 9-8. Sorry, it's weird having this new record system. Like, I legitimately think you guys could pull it off. So let me know what you guys think. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.